Alright, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways you can AFK inside of Anime Fighter Simulator.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
And all 3 of these ways are different and they all have really good benefits no matter which one you choose. I'm mainly making this video because I keep getting asked how to AFK in the game. Because I've only been playing this game for a little bit of time, I have quite a bit of hours considering how long I've played. And my overall strength of my units are pretty high. And don't worry, you don't have to spend a single Robux no matter which way you choose.
It's free.
Now, the first way you can AFK is by going to World 1, and there is a time chamber over here. Now, if you don't know what this does, basically, when you're inside this time chamber, timers work faster. So the default boost is 1.5 times, and when you're in here, timers for things like the unit incubation and also the limitless fighter machine are faster than normally would be. So for example, if you're in here for 16 hours, that would be 24 hours instead. So it saves 8 hours of AFKing. So if you're normally AFKing, so you AFK, let's say every single day and you have a unit inside the incubator for 7 days, it will then take 5 days instead. Now you can make this boost better by paying Robux, or if you get the perk Time God for the passive machine, which is an incredibly low chance, it does make it a little better too. Just make sure you have them equipped if you're AFKing in this world. Now, that's not it. You can also get fruits when you AFK here, so you can get basic fruits, legendary fruits, and even divine fruits. Like, I AFK'd for a couple hours after I took this screenshot, and this is the difference in inventories. That is a lot of free fruit for doing nothing, really. Now, there is one more thing in this world, and there is the Time God. Now, if you're in this world, I recommend AFK with 1 unit on the Time God, because this thing drops a ton of free player experience that otherwise would take a lot of grinding of items to do. And it doesn't matter the level of the units or how many units you put on it, it just drops the same amount of experience no matter what, which is roughly like 0 to 3 experience every couple seconds. Now, I did AFK myself for, I'm gonna say 12 or 15 hours, and this is when I started with, and I went up 1 level, and I got this much extra experience. Even if it wasn't even close to this much experience, it is still worth it. Because otherwise, I would have to just break down a ton of fruit or even use a ton of these shards that I would use for other things instead. So overall, AFKing in the time chamber, massively worth it. It's probably the best place to AFK, not even gonna lie. Now, the next way you can AFK in the game, and this is the one I've done the most of, and this one is really good, especially if you're really trying to get units. If you're still trying to build up on your units and you don't care too much about your player level, this is a great other option. And that is the AFK Stars on just about any world in the game. I would choose the most expensive one that you could afford to do for a long period of time. Now, there's a couple tips, is make sure you have auto sell on for everything, but shiny mythicals, and you can do normal mythicals if you want, but that is entirely up to you. But have all of these on auto delete. Otherwise, your inventory is gonna fill up in like less than an hour. So going to bed for like 8 hours and waking up to 1 hour of AFK really isn't a good outcome. Next is to make sure you can actually afford to open the stars for several hours. Don't AFK with enough money to open like 2,000 of 1 star, because you could open that up in like an hour or 2 depending on how many stars you open at a time. And also if you have fast open or even these boosts right here instead. I normally just type in Google how much money I have with all the zeros, which is a lot of zeros, and divide it by the price of the star. And if there's about like 25,000 or 50,000 stars that I could open, I just do it. Because that should be able to last several hours. You're not waking up to like nothing at all. If you have any extra questions on that, make sure to let me know down in the comments. But basically, just make sure you can do the most expensive one that you can still afford. Like, if you can only open, like, 5,000 a hole, but you could open up, like, way more psychics, then I'd probably do psychic instead. But yeah, again, that's just entirely situational, so just do the best one you can do. And for the last week in AFK, and I highly recommend doing this one when there is a yen and damage boost running, or just either one. But that is the AFK bosses in just about any world in the game. Now, basically how I would do this is you're going to send all your units on a boss without setting an auto clicker to auto click down here, because I know a lot of people will have auto clickers set to like 0 milliseconds and just spam click like this to deal extra damage. Don't do that. Just let your units run through an entire boss while timing it on your like a phone or something, all the way until the boss respawns, and then add like an extra 5 seconds to the timer. So for example, if it takes a boss like 2 minutes and 30 seconds to fully die from your team, including the respawn time, go ahead and set a timer for like 2 minutes 40 seconds, just to account for like critical hits and stuff. You don't want to click like too early and just miss out on a ton of money. But just do that on any boss in the game. Make sure that the boss you're fighting does take less than 20 minutes to fight. Try to fight one that doesn't have a lot of time, like below 10 minutes. If you're like up in the top areas, Icy Waste to like Psychic City is probably a really good one for you to AFK. But that is honestly probably the best strat for people that are about like mid-game and up. Like, if you're like a super low level, I would not recommend doing that, because overall you're probably just not gonna make that much money. I'd rather AFK instead of time chamber, because overall it's more useful. But if you're saving for new updates, it is really helpful, because I did that for an update I did the week before with the money boost. I had so much money and I was able to open up for hours with hardly any actual grinding. But that is 3 different ways you can AFK inside of Anime Fighter Simulator. If you have any questions for just about any of these ways, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer the question. And I'll see what I can do to help.